Tea in the Dark, Episode 6. I mentioned in a previous episode this idea of the Hermetic saying, as above, so below, that I am bending into as without, so within. The analogy being, you see planets orbiting a solar system, orbiting a sun, rather, and then electrons orbiting a nucleus. I know that's not exactly how it works, and I'm not here to talk about physics. I'm here to talk about normal things that I think all humans can benefit from. I like this idea. When I talked about personal accelerationism, that sort of implies that within you is sort of your own society. And that's a pretty big idea. I touched on it in that rough video about the mindscape. That should be up. You should be able to watch that. I'll link it. I intend to redo that video, to be clear. However, I think this idea of any person having multiple things within them is extremely useful. So, let's pause for a second. I'm not talking about schizophrenia. I'm not talking about multiple personalities. I'm not talking about hearing voices. I'm talking about abstracting the different parts of you that feel different things, are motivated by different things, etc. I mean, you could go as far as you like. I think there's a trope in shows, movies, etc., where a science-minded person creates a machine to split their personalities apart. I'm sure that's been done because I didn't just think of it. But you can just do that in your own head. You don't need a big dumb machine. I think the simplest version of this is like parenting yourself and respecting that within you, there's a part of you growing up that knows progress has to be made, that imagines perhaps being married and having kids someday. That's where I want to end up, but I'm not there yet. So that's the parent part of me. But then there's the kid part of you that really wants to, I don't know, eat candy, play video games, whatever goofing off means to you. It doesn't matter what. And so you can parent yourself by imagining that a part of yourself is a child that needs to be reined in, of course, from time to time. Because if you are extremely rigid with yourself and you never have fun, well, then you're sort of punishing yourself like a bad parent might. There's a good and bad way to do this. There are many good and bad ways to do this, so don't overthink it. Just think about the abstract idea of you kind of parent yourself. Okay, well, let's expand that. And what I did within my own mindscape, naturally over time, was imagined a sort of Senate where people would vote on stuff. And then the different political parties were like different motivations. So there would be like one political party that was like, dude, we care about school, you got a scholarship, you gotta do this. But then there would be another political party that would be like, yeah, but it's also important to have fun. So then at any given time, they would like vote on like, okay, well, are we going to do the homework ahead of time so we have more time? Or are we going to play video games now? I mean, my friends are online. Let's play games. That sort of thing. That's the general motivation there. Of course, the idea of progress in small steps and personal accelerationism kind of gets past that, because if you convince yourself that you need to do the homework, you don't really need to do the voting. Either way, this idea of accelerationism and a society agreeing where things need to go inevitably, that exists within the framework of you having things within yourself, if that makes sense. The other angle of this is considering what other things in society can be applied to yourself. So, if you wanted to quit a bad habit, for example, you might imagine the American Prohibition. Because, alcohol's regulated. You're not supposed to have it unless you're 21. There's dry counties, apparently. I've never been to them, but they don't have alcohol. And there's rules. You gotta show your ID at a bar. Okay, fine. But like the Prohibition, best I can tell, notice how this isn't important to know history, you can just imagine. Let's imagine that the Prohibition was no alcohol, screw you, there's none, you can't get it. I think that's what happened. Well, you can imagine within yourself a society that is going through a prohibition of whatever your bad habit is. Let's just keep up with alcohol. Then, when deciding what to do in life, you can consider that society. The people in charge are enacting a prohibition, but of course parts of you still want the alcohol. Those are the people trying to break the rules. And then you can consider who is realistically going to win here. Now, I've never experienced a chemical dependency or an addiction, so if you physically can't go without doing it, maybe you need some sort of medical help here. I'm not talking about addictions, I'm just talking about bad habits here. And that's just one example. So bringing it back, consider how you, within yourself, are also many smaller things, personality-wise, motivation-wise, and have fun. Try to come up with your own Mindscape-esque analogies for what you can do with that idea.